one, go.
Hello, family and friends. So we're back. We took a short break. Tonight we at the Stars Cafe. To my right, I have my good friend Jose Colon, who is the owner of this establishment. He's a great friend as well as an advocate on promoting the betterment of our community. And to my left, I have, my good friend Blase, who I just spent a great conversation on autism. So tonight we're talking about autism awareness and what we can do to enhance the quality of life for not just the individual who's autistic, but their families. And and in that discussion, we tapped into so much more, right? We're talking about the education system, we're talking about job placement, and overall, the family needs. So I want to thank you for having us tonight to be able to use your space to have these discussions because one thing for sure, two things for certain, many of us have these great ideas and this warmness in our heart to achieve certain goals, but sometimes, it's not cliche that it takes a village to really get things done. And tonight is a reflection of that. That it takes a village to push forward, an idea that can manifest into change. Because where there is backing, there's a for sure change. So Jose is going to join us today on the discussion of autism, education, and family.
I want to start by saying, thank you all for just tuning in and taking the time out to just listen to this beautiful presentation that Jamiliah Rose has presented here. And the second thing I want to do is congratulate all the politicians that, went out there and did the hard work and actually, put in the work and actually got voted in and actually, congratulations to you guys. I want to start with that. And the next step that I want to talk about is awareness, right? Awareness is a big thing for me, and one of the things that Jamila and I share in common is awareness, right? And one of the things that we like to do is have a deep conversation about, like, what's going on around us, what's going on around the world, what's going on around our communities. And one of the things that, when she came to me about this idea about what she wants to do with autism and dyslexia, it deeply stood by me because it's something that I grew up with, right? I didn't grow up with autism, but I grew up with dyslexia, and I grew up with this idea with feeling like a failure in a way, right? And one of the things that I wanted the community and the kids in the community and the environment I grew up in I want them to know is that, failure is the key, right, to success. And one of the things that I learned over the time as I kept progressing with my career and I kept progressing with the endeavors that I've been involved in and the things that I've been doing, I realized that failure was the one thing that led me to where I'm at today, right? And the reason for that was because one of the things that people shy away from is failure. Like, oh my God, I failed that. This is it for me, right? I don't want to do this no more, right? But one of the things that I encourage people to do is that, take the time out to fail because failure is the key to success. And the reason why I would tell people that is because one of the things that I learned over the time as I kept going on with these endeavors that I've been a part of was learning that, when it comes to failure opens doors for you to actually be better. And the reason why I say that is because, one of the things that I've done in my life, right, and one of the things that dyslexia has done for me, right, was become my superpower as the young brother said here earlier, right? And I love what he said. He was talking about how these barriers that we think are downfall actually becomes the superpower to our abilities.
Exactly.
Right? And one of the things that I had to learn was the abilities that I gained over the time in which I didn't even know I had. Mm-hmm. And let me start with awareness, right? Just being aware of your ability, right? being aware of that ability, of that skill set that you have, that it's been hidden.
Right.
And dyslexia was that ability for me to go out there and do the things that I'm doing today, right? Which is not caring what anybody thinks, not caring about what family, what friends, or anyone thinks, right?
Exactly.
Just going out there and just doing it.
Just do it.
Right? Because when you do it, right, there's so many findings that you find out about yourself.
That's right.
Right? And the capabilities that you can do, right?
Exactly.
And that opens the door through, so many opportunities, right? That happens while you're going through the things that you're going through, the challenges that you're going through. And what I want to do is take the time out to just thank Jamiliah Rose, right, for, not just inviting me and inviting, the young brother here. I keep calling you young, that's what you are, right?
I get that a lot.
You look good, brother. You look good, right?
Thank you.
But one of the things that I want to do is basically acknowledge the fact that, there's so many challenges that you go through as a woman, right, that no one speaks about, right? There's so many challenges that you go through as a mother, right? As someone that just facing so many challenges that no one is speaking about, right? But not only have you been able to overcome these challenges, but you've been a mother, you've been a grandmother, right? And you've been able to step, yourself forward and say, hey, I want to make sure that, I'm speaking up for the mothers that are afraid to speak up.
That's the thank
Right?
you for that.
For sure.
See these challenges that sometimes we, especially in Black culture, are not acknowledging.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
for
you
sure.
said that, Jose.
For sure.
I want to thank you so much for being transparent about who you are, your ability to continue in this life of this quote, disability of dyslexia. And I honor you for always having my back, and thank you for sharing those beautiful words and sentiments on who I am and the cause of this all. And you hit it on the nail, right? You tapped into something so crucial. It's what happens in the Black and brown community that causes this disconnect from us realizing these challenges that truly exist. So let me just put it out there. This is not a white people thing. This is not a gringo thing, right? This is things that happen in our communities, in our families. These are personal situations. You have someone here sharing his transparent 100% testimony on a personal level, on the things and his challenges and how he saw a challenge and made it a strength.
Exactly.
Right? But there's no secret that in our community, that's not always the case.
True.
So it's not only the lack of resources, it's the disconnect with us being able to say, this is what we have and how do we deal with that. So I say all that to say, when did you realize this challenge that you had and who helped you really overcome it?
That's a great question, right? One of the things that I'm very thankful was my mother, right? Because like I said, that's where it starts, right? My mother was the big key to my success because, one of the things that, especially growing up in the environment that I grew up in, teachers are not aware, and it's not their fault, right? So when it comes to the education system, right, I used to say, oh my God, it's their fault, right? But one of the things that I learned how to do is compromise with what's going on in our environment, right? And what are we doing to basically, come together as a collective, right? To basically say, okay, we know what the issues are, right? We know what the challenges are. What are we doing to provide, right, that resource, right?
Exactly.
To make sure that we disrupt, right, this whole notion of like what's going on in our environment.
I like that.
Right.
Disrupt. Yeah.
Right? So one of the things that my mother did was she took me to the library to basically say like, all right, we know what the challenges are. What I'm going to make you do is I'm going to make you read, not just once, but not twice, but 3 times.
Yeah.
Right? So until you get it, right? Because that's going to develop that strength.
That's right.
So one of the things that
absolutely.
I teach people, right, and one of the things that I love, educating people on is this whole thing called a SWOT analysis, and that's what my mother was doing at an early age, right? Which is a SWOT analysis is basically a SWOT is your strength,
your weakness,
your opportunity, and your threats, right?
There you go.
And one of the things that my mother did was she took me to the library to work on my strengths, right? She didn't allow my weakness to become my downfall, right? And she said that, you know what we're going to do is turn that weakness into a strength, right? Because that ability is going to make you who you are, right? So one of the things that she did was she made me read things over and over, and that made me feel stupid, right? Just because I have to read things the way that Jamiliah may read a book maybe once and get it. I have to read it 2 to 3 times and get it, right? And my mother made me feel that, you know, one of the things she made me understand was it's okay that you're reading it, you know, about 2 to 3 times, and Jamiliah reads it the first time, and you don't. There's no difference between you and her.
And I love that you. I love that he said that because I had a discussion with a loved one, and I said we all learn different.
Absolutely.
Right, and so if we have to rate our learning, then we all have a challenge. Correct, because you may be great at math, where it takes me a longer time to process. So it's a whole processing system that fluctuates and changes, and what becomes our strength, right?
Exactly.
Versus a challenge. And how do we tackle that? So tonight it was so important for us to have this discussion because we're not just talking to the audience of the know how to. We're talking and trying to reach the ones that don't know how.
Absolutely.
Right? So we're saying we have that. We have loved ones. Well, we experience it personally, or we have someone close to us. And because of that, we're saying we agree with you. And we want to be the voice for the voiceless. We want to be the voice to advocate. But in all advocating, circumstances, we need more than just us 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so this is a call of action for people to really look at this and say, I want to be a part of this autism, dyslexia awareness. Like our mayor, I remember I was working with a candidate at the time, the year before last, and we were at a church, and the mayor, Eric Adams, he was very transparent, and he said, I have dyslexia. This was a challenge for me. How many people can do that? And when you hear it from people that I guess are those who you admire or look up to, it hits a little different for some people because they're like, oh, it's just not me. It's just not you. It's the people here talking with you. It's your neighbor.
Exactly.
It's the kid next door to you that may be facing these challenges. And it's important for us as a collective to bring unity in the community, to say that our communities need more resources. You shouldn't have to go, to a different zip code to obtain the same resources.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have to change your, and we know this, money plays a big part on resources, right? Because what the school system can't do, your money will.
Absolutely.
So, but what happens to those who don't have the money?
That's
what
the
happens
question.
That's the question.
That's
what
the
happens
question.
to those children? Do they get left behind? Do we just, say, well, that's just it? Or do we empower? So tonight was all about empowering people to really come forward and say, this is my truth, and I want to be a part of this change. And we want elected officials, we want community activists, your everyday Joes, your music entertainers, your business owners, to come forward and say, we need to do something about this, because in our communities, as Jose said, piggybacking to what he said, in our communities, black and brown, this is the reality. More of our children are being diagnosed with autism and dyslexia. What are we doing to change their future?
Exactly.
And one of the things that, to piggyback on what Jamiliah is saying, is that one of the things that I'm very aware of is that, especially in our culture, we're afraid to have these conversations because we don't want to look stupid in front of people.
Amen to that.
And we don't want to look down upon each other.
Right. Absolutely.
You don't want to come out with certain things you don't want to look bad in front of someone. Right. So one of the things that I learned is not being afraid of that, because and one of the things that really taught me that was just living my truths, because if I could be open about who I am, and I'll be open about just my failures and what I've gone through and some of the things that I'm I'm going through in my life, right? And being open to that. That vulnerability opens another door for someone else.
True, very true.
Right?
Very
So
true.
being vulnerable is everything, right? And one of the things that Jamila and I actually do is we spend the time to just take the time out to be vulnerable with each other, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that I'm not afraid of doing is being myself when I'm around the sister, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Keeping it 100.
Yeah.
just being honest. And one of the things is like, we shared a lot of our experience, and what we realized from that finding was, oh my God, like she experienced some of the things that I experienced, because
The commonality.
I was 19 years old when I had a baby years old. You know how afraid I was? Even speaking about this, I get emotional about it. That's why I'm trying not to, sit here and cry or whatever, but it's more of like, I now have a 15-year-old son,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And, just thinking about his open school night, coming next week, right?
Right.
I think about like, oh my God, like, those are some of the challenges that I don't speak about, right? But I'm gonna be open about it now. It's just, like, oh my God, like,
No judgment zone,
Right.
right?
but that was something I was afraid of. Like, what if he's going through what I suffered from, right? And he's in this bubble where he's trying to protect his ability of like, oh my God, like I don't want the world to see me, right? To see me for who I am, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I realized was I thank God that he's not me. But even if he was, it's not a bad thing, right? Because what I would have done was stepped up to see like what do we do to make sure that we handle what we need to handle. But he's a brilliant child and he's doing amazing.
Beautiful.
He's nothing like me. I was a bad kid.
No.
Right? But I would say that one of the things that I love what you're doing, Jamila, is you're taking the time out to really find fathers, right, who are who are living in the underserved community, who don't have a voice and who feel that they don't have a voice, right? And you're trying to take the time out to say, whatever challenges you're facing, you can come and be open about it, right? And you can come and say, you have a voice in this space.
I appreciate that.
Right. And I thank you for that, because there's not a lot of people that are taking the time out to even endure that, right? So one of the things that I'm very, very, very big on is making sure that like whatever I need to do, whether it's sharing a space, which Jamila is doing right now, right? I want to make sure I do everything in my power to provide that, because I really care about these issues, and I want to make sure that, all these kids that are growing up with these challenges, I want them to know, like the brother said here, that's their superpower, and they're going to do something amazing in life, right? Because I'm still going.
Yeah.
And there's so
Absolutely.
many things that are going to come out of what I'm doing right now, right? I still feel like this is just the beginning for me, right? Because who knows what 10, 15 years looks like for my accomplishments and what I want to be able to accomplish for the world.
Exactly.
Right? But not just for a self-reflection on, like looking at me, but it's more of like...
Generational.
Generational. Right?
No,
Generational, and
generational.
what I've been able to do for the culture, what I've been able to do
True.
for the young people.
Right.
The legacy.
And break that curse.
Yeah.
Break the curse.
Look, the legacy that we put forward is not just always for our next of kin, right?
Right.
It's for our people.
Yeah.
It's for the generations
Generational.
that come after
After.
us. And I thank you so much for sharing that, because again, this is a space for fathers. So one of my big initiatives is to help empower our fathers who have children that have challenges to get the services they need, from even child support. There's so many fathers out here who want to be a part of the child's life, and they're being disconnected intentionally. On purpose, sabotaging relationships, and we need to change that. And some of our fathers, they feel lost. They have lack of resources. They don't know, and there is no secret. And as a woman, I'm saying this firm, and I'll stand 10. Should I stand?
Yeah.
But 10 toes down. And the system is not fair when it comes to our men
Not at all.
and their children.
That's true.
And even if they have money, that's the thing. This is one situation that money can't change.
Exactly.
When it comes to the systems of fathers having an equal say in their child's life, money plays no part.
No
in
part,
it.
especially
the system is biased.
especially black and brown.
Especially black and brown. So the system is
Yeah.
very biased. So
Yeah.
we are opening this forum and saying, we respect you. We want you to continue to uplift and be a part of your child's life. And we want to assist. So whether it's like in counseling, these sessions, these videos, to child support, to meeting with the legal service team, what to do and how to do it. I want to be able to provide that, and I'm glad I have two strong men, you know, to my right and to my left, to say that they would support this call of action. I also want to thank, you know, my brother Chris for always coming out and being a part of it all, you know, from the filming
Right.
to outdoor canvassing to knocking on doors with me. He's 100%, and you know, a woman, a queen needs her kings, you know, and her warriors, but beside her, behind her, in front of her. And men need the same thing, and our children need the same thing. So I urge the people who are watching this video to really not just hear it, but listen to it, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
Listen to it and say, this is a cause that I want to be a part of, and this is what I can contribute to that.
And making sure that we're breaking the cycle of this systematic oppression that we've been dealing with.
Oh, yes.
Oh, on that note,
Oh,
that's
yes.
a whole different topic. We're going to
topic.
take a break and we'll be right back. Thank you.